Hi. Good thanks. How are you? The first time was upstairs. Okay.
Hey, that one looks good. Which one is that?
Math app. The math app challenge.
Okay.
It's really good. Thank you.
Good evening, fine folks. Are you all ready? I am giving you for the illustrious Celestine Bloomfield. And my name is Tracy Wynn. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. But here I am. Welcome to the Indy Story Slam presented by Freetown Village and Storytelling Arts of Indiana and sponsored by Maestro Organizing and WFYI. Do we have our Maestro Organizing fellow here today? Not today? Okay. Tonight's theme is Disillusions. The theme is broad, so that it may be interpreted in many ways. The basic rule of the story slam are as follows. True story. And as Celestine always says, you won't know if you're telling a fib unless your nose starts to grow. She always says that. Told in person, no longer than 5 minutes, or they will take off points. Based on the theme of, told you already, disillusion. And do not read your story or refer to notes, because that's a no-no. Don't do that as storytellers. I like to thank in advance our 3 judges. I like to thank Shannon for running the live stream.
Oh, thank you.
Photos. I'd like to thank Samantha for taking care of everything else under the sun. Okay, Greg's not here, and we have this magic green basket with names in it, and I know it's going to fill up. At some point between the stories, I'm going to give other notes about other events that are going to be happening with storytelling arts again, okay? And let you know where the next story slam is. But let's get the show on the road. You know what? Before we get the show on the road, before I call someone to be first, I'll be first. And I'll tell you guys a little story about an early disillusion that I had. When I was a little girl, and some of you may remember this show if you're old enough, Lassie. Lassie used to come on, and Lassie used to help Timmy, and they used to save people, and they used to rescue people, and it was so wonderful, and I just loved Lassie. And I remember laying on the floor and getting under the table, on the coffee table, and watching Lassie. Well, one day I decided to ask my mother, I said, what's gonna happen if something happens to Lassie? Lassie, he can't get sick or anything like that, because then what will we do? How will we help Timmy and the family? And my mother said, child, do you know how many Lassies they have? If something happens to that Lassie, they'll just get another Lassie. They got several Lassies. I was devastated. I'm not just a loser. I was like, no, there's only one Lassie. They didn't have more than one Lassie. And she said, yes, they have many Lassies. And if that Lassie gets sick or even dies, they'll just pull in another Lassie. So that was my first one. Reach into the magic green basket. Lime green basket, lime green. And let's see who our first teller is going to be tonight. Janet Collins. Very nice to meet you. We always get so much from the holidays, and I think that's a source of disillusion. I think everybody, I think everybody has a disillusion story about the holidays. So I'm going to talk about family and holidays. My husband and I never had to argue about whose family we were going to for the holidays for Thanksgiving because my mom had this brilliant idea that she wasn't going to play the in-laws for the kids. She would just have it the next house on the left. So she always had Thanksgiving on Saturday or Sunday after the after day, and that way they could go to her in-laws and she could get everybody. My husband's family was the first that we would go to, and our families were totally different. His family was working class. His father was worked in a foundry. His mom was supervisor at the cafeteria at school. And his family was big. There were 15 kids. And so when they got together, yeah, it was loud, it was gregarious, and they did picnic plates and a buffet. He just laid on the tables. My family was white collar. My dad was an engineer, mom was a teacher. Uh, our Thanksgiving was tablecloth, fine china, um, cloth napkins. Everybody being polite. Our family was smaller, and there were four of us kids, but we also had aunts, uncles, cousins that came, and friends. So that year we went to my in-laws Thanksgiving, and the house was full of everybody. Everybody was visiting. And then Robert had to be a troublemaker. He's my husband's brother, and he's a Jehovah's Witness, so he doesn't do the holidays. He was there just visiting um, the family, but then he goes into the kitchen and he sees that his mother has a big pile of greens on it. It's like, let me make some of these greens. So there he is eating at his little dish of greens, and suddenly sees that he's already had the greens, and the next thing you know, there's a free-for-all going on in the kitchen. My mother-in-law comes down the hallway, she sees what's going on, and she grabs a big wooden spoon, and she's chasing after everybody. But she couldn't bring herself to hit one of those kids. So she just put her hand down and cried. And my father-in-law came along, and he comforted her. And us outlaws are the only ones left in the kitchen. Everybody else had made a hasty retreat. And Jamie, the youngest little new wife in the family, is clumsily trying to comfort her mother-in-law. And Steve, one of the older ones in the family, is checking off the food. So that was one mother. Then a few days later, my family sets for Thanksgiving. And we hadn't seen each other. We're scattered, uh, living in different places, and we can't stop visiting. Mom had done the turkey, dressing, running some dishes. My dad mashed potatoes. He always makes the pumpkin pies. Mom's a minister, a Lutheran minister, and so she always says the prayer. So she is shouting for everybody to calm down so that she can say the prayer. She had to shout several times before we finally pipe down and get in prayer mode. And she stands there silent for a minute, and then she breaks down crying and runs from the room. We all stand there in stunned silence. And then Grandma looks at my dad and says, "She's your wife, go after her." Well, by the time Mom came back, and there was quite a few minutes before she did, we had all calmed down. She said the prayer and went on to Thanksgiving. I just want to say that Thanksgiving is not a woman's holiday. And, I think moms are really throwing the big piece has the toughest time. And we have to remember that when we go over there for Thanksgiving. We don't want mom to be disillusioned. We want her to think that she does have a perfect family. Absolutely right, Kim. Not the woman mother's holiday. I'm walking like this at the end of Thanksgiving night. I barely stand up because I stood up for so long with my back. Let's see here. We're going to get another name out of this basket, and I know there's some more people, like I said, that will probably come up with something that has disillusioned them
How you doing?
throughout
Is it still warm on mine?
life of
That
theirs.
one's fine. Yeah.
Jim Cleave, our superstar. Oh, you guys got to see Jen not too long ago. Oh, she was so, she was awesome. So when I think of disillusions, I think of the many beliefs from my childhood that I have learned growing up are not true. Um, for example, as long as I can remember, adults were telling me, when you grow up, you can be whatever you want to be. I wanted to be a princess. Also, my parents gave me a little trinket box when I was little. It was heart-shaped, and on the lid it said, "You are special." And for years, I believed that. And then don't get me started on the parade of mythical nocturnal visitors to my home who I thought were bringing me toys and candy and money. But there's one childhood illusion that lasted way too long, longer than it should have. And I credit or blame my mom for this childhood illusion. My mom, always being one to try to shield and protect us six kids, thought that the word skeleton was too scary for children. And so she used and taught us to use the word bone man. And we grew up thinking that bone man was a word. And in case you don't know, bone man is not a word. My mom made it up. Um, but she thought it was a friendly sounding word, like just your friendly neighborhood bone man. So anyway, we grew up year after year, October after October, our lives were full of bone men. There were the bone men in our neighbors' yards, there was the bone man hanging in our house. Apparently the word skeleton was scary, but not the actual presence of skeletons. My brothers and I would go trick-or-treating as bone men, which I assume, you know how adults will ask kids, what are you going as for Halloween, or at the door, what are you? And I'm sure we all said bone man, and nobody corrected us. And so this continued for far too long, I think because skeletons actually very rarely come up in conversation. So no one ever corrected us. And I'm sure by the time we reached our 20s, we had heard the word skeleton before, but we all thought it was just a variant of the word bone man. And yet, eventually, we were all disillusioned. My time came when I was a junior in college, an English major, and I was at a Halloween party trying to talk very loudly over the music, and I screamed at the host, "I love your bone man costume." And the whole dorm room went silent. And my roommate started kind of giggling nervously and said, "What did you just say?"
that was my moment of disillusion. My sister actually has a work story. She was in vet school, a student in a lab, and asked the entire class if anyone knew where the dog bone man was because she needed it. Anyway, I recently looked up, did a Google search for bone man. I just had trouble believing that a word that was in my lexicon for decades cannot possibly be a word. And sure enough, it's not there. Merriam-Webster has not yet recognized bone man as a word. And I'm okay with that because you better believe I am teaching my two boys to say bone man instead of skeleton. The other day we were walking home from school and we were talking about the 18-foot bone men that are in our neighborhood. And my son Leo, kindergartner, my observant child, he turned to me and said, "You know, Mom, I've noticed that a lot of kids actually say skeleton instead of bone man." And I just looked at him and I was like, "Oh, that's weird and scary." He's only 6. That's far too young to be disillusioned.
That's crazy. I think your mother traumatized y'all because she was traumatized by skeleton. Something in her past had her held to not liking skeleton. And so that's why you guys got bonehead. Don't do that to them boys. Don't do that to them boys. Let them call them skeletons like everybody else. Okay. Okay, next month, December, the theme for our Story Slam will be Indulge. And you guys won't have a chance to have probably indulged at that early part of December because we usually do it between Christmas and New Year's. Overindulge. A theme for next month, and it'll be at Cholita's Tacos at 1001 Raw Ripple Avenue. We've been there before. Upcoming, huh? In the basement, like we were last time. If you weren't there last time, it's in the basement. Okay. And they have a good parking lot. Upcoming events of Storytelling Arts of Indiana, December 7th at 7 p.m. at the Indiana History Center, or it's Indiana Historical Center, as I call it. Jingle, Tales, and Tunes, featuring Andy Offit, Irwin, and Reggie Carpenter. This is sponsored by John and Carol Brown. Join Reggie Carpenter and Andy Offit Irwin for a festive evening filled with songs and stories, from hilarious to heartwarming. And these are two fan favorites, these two tellers. And they're going to put you right in the holiday spirit. And that's December the 7th at 7 p.m. Okay? There's going to be a drawing for 2 flex tickets, right? At Storytelling Lounge. Is that going to be for tonight, or is that going to be then and that night, Ronan? That the 2 tickets, or is that going to be for tonight to win, or is it night? 2 tickets, 2 flex tickets for the whole season. Oh, so that's awesome, guys. December 8th at 2:30 p.m. in Hamilton East Public Library. Come out and join people practicing telling folk tales and fairy tales and mythic tales in an informal and supportive atmosphere. Storytellers of all skills are welcome, so anybody can come, and you can just come and listen if you want to. Okay, that's one thing, and it's free. And they meet on the second Sunday of every month at 2:30 p.m. Okay, this month, as I said before, the group will meet at the Hamilton East Public Library, Fisher's Branch. Everybody got that? If you didn't, I'll repeat it, or you can come up and ask me again, because I know my memory. I can't remember anything 2 seconds after somebody says it. I have to get it again so I can store it in my memory bank. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next story, and I'm gonna reach into the lime green basket and pull out another name. Let's see who it's gonna be this time. Jack Flack. Come on. Okay.
I got to hear a big deal storyteller and Emerging Stories Fellowship recipient grapple with the question, who is my neighbor? And she doesn't even know my neighbor. So yeah, I've grappled with that myself, and the sayings that come to mind are not all scriptural. I mean, sure, love your neighbor as yourself, that's the law, if you like that. No good deed goes unpunished, that's commentary. So when my neighbor needed help moving, I was cautious from the get-go because past efforts to help her out had this way of ballooning way past the original plan or leaving somebody holding the bag. And I set out meaning to avoid disillusionment this time. And no one in her household has a car or drives, so the plan is for me to give them a lift out to U-Haul to get their truck. She's already lined someone up to drive the truck, so that doesn't have to be me. He's an affable, hardworking fellow with no fixed address at the moment, so we stop in an alley to pick him up on the way. She has brought cash in the exact amount of U-Haul's online quote, but they want a deposit with cash, which she does not have. So she asks if she can give me the cash and I can use my card, and the voice at the back of my head starts to pipe up. But I don't want to be who messed up their last minute move. So, okay, I say. And off we go in a little caravan, my car, and them in this truck, rented in the name, because he's the licensed driver, of a guy with no address, and paid any further charges. I only meant to cover that one. And they say, sure. So I relax and pitch in with the loading and unloading, and I don't think about the card business again till Monday morning. That's when the truck was due back, and maybe that would have worked out if they put any more thought into packing and preparing than they actually did. So it's no surprise that the truck is still needed on Monday. The surprise is that that charge shows right up on my card. So next I'm on the phone with my card issuer and I give them the whole story, and they're like, well, we have one thing we can do about that. And I was like, I don't want it to be that, because then I can't charge anything till the new card comes in the mail. I have to straighten it out with all my other bills. It's a giant pain. And it's not as if I think my neighbor is trying to take advantage. I think she was blindsided by this deposit business. She thought this would be a simple solution. Didn't think it much further than that. Kind of the same way she didn't think much further when she turned down all the kinds of insurance they offered, which takes about $30 off the bill, but also means if anything happens to that truck, they'll just put that on my card and I can spend my golden years paying it off. So in the end, I say, yes, do it, cancel the card. Well, Tuesday morning rolls around. By some miracle, they're done with the truck. The driver rushes it back to U-Haul. They send him out there alone to do that, no way to get back. And they tally up the bill, and there's this payment problem. Leaving it on him, he hasn't been given the cash to cover it. So he just explains that and apologizes and hoofs it back into town. And my neighbor, when she hears that, says, so I guess if it wasn't me ending up stuck with the bill, it suits her just fine. It was him. So a couple days later, I go back out to U-Haul, check if anything more has happened on the bill. It hasn't. So I settle it up and ask for an extra receipt so I can give it to him if I can remember where we picked him up and find him again. And so
Yeah. That was a sneaky little thing she was trying to do. And that's not nice. Okay. Disillusion. Disillusion. Second. Young life. Young life, Jenny. Young life. There is a group that everybody in this room has heard of because this group is from Indiana, the Jackson 5. Woo, child. I had their posters on the wall everywhere in my room. Now, Jermaine was my Jermaine tall. So I had the poster on the wall at 6 feet just so that I could kiss him at 6 feet on the wall, right by the door, too, right by the door. And I'll never let this young get a Saturday morning, and you know what goes on in the households on Saturday morning. Cleaning, cleaning, cleaning. So we cleaning up and we have the radio on, you know, we have any of those other things, you know, radio on. Jermaine got married to Barry Gordy's daughter. Oh my God. I thought I was gonna die. I just couldn't believe it. How could he have gotten married? I was supposed to marry Jermaine. I was supposed to marry Jermaine. He was not supposed to get married, and definitely not marry Barry Gordy's daughter. Who the hell is Barry Gordy anyway? I don't even know who Barry Gordy is. I didn't know he ran. I didn't know anything about him. Girl, didn't say anything about this girl in the TV magazines. Who is he? Who is she, rather? Oh God, I was devastated. And talking about disillusion. And then my mother said, thank God my mother was alive during this time. My mother said, child, did you think you were actually gonna meet this boy and marry him? About that. I thought I was gonna be married. It was actually the same age as me. Was my lied about their ages, all their ages. But that was my second big disillusion. Now, some of you have not filled out, and everybody's been disillusioned. Everybody in here, somebody that had somebody was supposed to pick them up for a date, didn't come. You just knew this dude was coming or knew this girl was coming. Okay, get some more names in this basket. We're running low over here. Let's see. Oh, please put some more names in this basket. Tell a story. Tell a story. Okay, who's next? John Strauss. Is it Strauss?
Hello, my friends. I'm a rookie, and I hope if I glance at my security blanket, you know, I'm not a big fan of disillusion. It sounds to me too much like this illusion. And I lost my illusions a long time ago. But not my dreams, not the vision of something better, where they let her be who she is, which makes more sense. The sense of place where things land where they ought to be. Forget the blame. That's their false vision. They're wishing every day for our division. They smile and say, you lost. Feel that disillusion? But I don't, and I hope that you don't either. Even though things so close might look so far away, like there's nothing left to say. You look up from below like the empty bottom of a pool, hear the cackling laughter of the fools. But we were there. It was no fake illusion. It was no false vision. no dream worthy of derision. There's a sad and cynical device they have where they roll the dice, cut you out for sacrifice. That's their illusion, not yours. Their plan to divide and cause your disillusion, like when they call you woke. What a joke. Hell yeah, we're woke. We're not blind, looking ahead, not behind. Here are new ideas, not rigid reactions, fighting factions, F all those fake distractions. I get it. It's totally natural to wonder where the dreams all fled. It seemed to go so wrong, feeling first that we were strong, now knowing the fragility, the instability of those dreams. But disillusion? Hell no. There's just too much to do, too far to go. It's no illusion when you stand and fight for your friends. So often derided, divided, subjected to the blame and bogus shame. Yeah, that day we saw it, saw our castles crumble, saw them slip away. It'll take a while to set this straight. You must be disillusioned. They smile with oiled empathy and false concern. They hope that you'll feel used and burned. It wasn't an illusion. It's never an illusion when you know it's finally real. Don't be disillusioned. That's just their play. To take away your rights, easier to make you quit than let you fight. But in the end, we win. There's no holding back the light. Don't believe in disillusion. We had no fake visions, no illusions. Those weren't just happy hopes, sitting placid on the fence, all wistful exuberance. We are not finished. Stand up, because we're still in it. This change is due, but you have to win it. This is for our friends. We're the means to righteous ends wherever we walk. Come with me with open eyes. Come to the classrooms where I teach. Come walk the streets for candidates. Knock on the doors as we try to reach the people worth fighting for. They won't open every door, but you can just see who the fight is for. This is not the time to throw up our hands. This is the time to roll up our sleeves. We're not disillusioned. You have to have illusions for that. And what we have is better than illusions. We have our vision and time is on our side.
Sitting here enjoying it. I got to listen to that. Very good job. I love that. Wonderful. Okay, let's see here. What else is upcoming? Upcoming events at Freetown Village. Thursday, November the 21st, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Conversations in Indiana, African American history and culture. She has done what she could, is the quote. The life and legacy of the educator, Ada B. Harris, with guest speaker, Krisha Tandy, curator of social history at Indiana State Museum and Historic Sites. They want you to join the monthly conversations with historians, researchers, and educators as they discuss topics related to, I guess it's getting too close to that, topics related to Indiana Black heritage. The presenters will be Keisha Tandy, curator of social history at the Indiana State Museum and Historic Sites. Did I read that already? Let's see. Educator Ada Harris served the community of Norwood beyond the classroom, building a legacy of community uplift and service. The event is free, but registration is required. So you have to click on the site, on the website, in order to get your ticket. Okay? In person, the doors open at 5:30 p.m. at the Indiana Landmarks, 1201 North Central Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana, and the talk begins at 6 p.m. That place is beautiful, guys. Have y'all been in there? It is beautiful, awesome. So many little rooms. It's just fabulous architecture in there. Anyway, online, they have a live stream. So if you can't get out on November 21st, you can listen to it, live stream. It'll begin at 6 p.m. Okay. Also, Spark It's the holiday on the circle. The Freetown Village Singers. If you haven't heard them, they are awesome. I work with a few of them. They have been invited to spark holidays on the circle. And that's going to be on December the 15th from 5 to 6 p.m. Yep, you got it. December 15th, 5 to 6 p.m. They are awesome. The Freetown singers, village singers. They are wonderful. Okay, back to the line. Green basket. I'm going. I see. Lime green basket. What do you hold? What do you hold? Not enough names in here. No, really. Come on down.
So this is Illusions, right? In 1984, there were three of us who decided we were fishermen, and we were headed on Thanksgiving night to Tennessee to fish for 4 days. Well, one of us was going to stay 2 days, one of us was going to stay 3 days, one of us might stay 4 days. And we drove 3 different cars, 7 hours to southern Tennessee at different times. We did not need those damn leftovers from Thanksgiving. We didn't need turkey, we didn't need dressing, we did not need sweet potato casserole, green beans. We needed none of that because we were going to catch, clean, and eat fish every meal. And we got there at midnight, stopped at the cabin, got up at 5:30 in the morning, walked down the hill to the boat we had rented. So there were only 2 of us there at that time. And out on this huge lake, I've heard there's 700 miles of shoreline on that lake. We were the only people out there. And we fished hard all day and caught nothing. Nothing. We got back, it was almost dark, and Steve pulled in, and we said, "We've got nothing to eat." He goes, "Guess what? I killed 2 rabbits this morning, and I cleaned them, and I brought them, and we're going to have rabbit for supper." And we thought, that's wonderful. And I know how to make gravy after you fry those rabbits. So he cooked the rabbits, big skillet, cast iron skillet, and I just gravy. So I just turned it on. Oh, okay, it's back. There we go. So I started to make the gravy, but I did not remember the order to put things in or the proportions, because when I walked by my parents or my uncle or my aunt making gravy, I just walked by, I paid no attention to what they were doing. So I thought milk and flour and butter and grease, we need that. So we had the grease there already. Rabbits were out. I poured in 2 cups of milk, stirred it, and thought, it's just too liquid. So I took a cup of flour and I dumped it in there, and I stirred it up, and I thought, not quite. So I take another half cup of flour and put it in, and I continued to stir and stir, and I need a little more milk. So I put a little more milk in there, stirred and stirred until you could not stir it. It looked like the blob from the old 50s movie. I thought it was coming after us. It came out of the pan, rolled over the sides, and I took it off the heat. And then we wanted to eat it, so we had to slice it. And we sliced it and had Wonder Bread with sliced gravy for dinner with the rabbit pieces. And the next morning we got up, had toast with sliced gravy, and then we sent Steve out to buy groceries. And he came back
20 miles away was the first grocery he could find that was open during Thanksgiving weekend. He came back with a week's worth of grapefruits. He left that afternoon because he had to get back to work. And so Kent and I hired a guide for the next day, and we caught fish. And I've read you can make gravy a different way. So I tried it and it did work. But those two things from 40 years ago, I learned if you're fishing a new place, just get a guide. If you want to make something new, find the damn recipe and follow it. So we've stopped with the sliced gravy, haven't had it since. Neither one of them have ever asked me for it. But in the last 40 years, all of my fishing trips have been nothing but gravy.
No salt, no pepper, no nothing, nothing in that gravy. Y'all ate it? Oh God, that's nasty. I don't know how you did that. Oh my goodness. Rabbit and sliced gravy. Okay, I've heard it all now. Okay. Gravy is one of the hardest things to make. It is so hard. My cousin taught me when I was a young mother. She taught me how to make gravy on the phone. And she was in Manhattan and I was in Brooklyn. And she taught me how to make gravy on the phone. And she said, my grandmother said, don't you have that light gravy? You better make that gravy dark. I was like, my gravy's not getting dark. I don't know what to do. It's still light. It's still light. I don't know what to do. I don't even fool with it anymore. I know a thing called canned gravy. Yes. Okay. Nobody else put a note in this basket or their name in this basket. I have one more storyteller. Is it you, Sam? Come on, Sam.
All right, I'm gonna try and tell this without laughing too much. Celestine always says that when we're at Story Slam, one teller can tell a story that inspires another teller to tell a story that has some kind of tangent. And for this one, it's Jen saying that her parents, or parents in general, tell their kids they could be anything they want to be when they're older. Now, for a good chunk of my childhood, my dad was a single dad. And what he lacked in youth fashion of the 2000s, he made up for in his ability to convince me that I could be whatever I wanted to be when I grew older. Starting with, I could write a chapter book in 3rd grade, seems fair enough. I could speak fluent Flemish in high school, it's a little bit of a stretch. All the way, and this one breaks my heart as a parent now, that I could try out for cheerleading in 7th grade. Didn't work out for me. However, after a trip to New York City and a trip to London, I was convinced that I was going to be on Broadway one day. And of course, my dad, biggest cheerleader, was like, you can do it. I said, okay, so I went to the auditions and I made it. I was in the ensemble. Now, all's fair in love and war, right? It should be all's fair in love, war, and middle school theater, because whenever there was a position, a spot opened up, a role for the ensemble, I was just all over it. I mean, I was waving my arm. I was in the director's face. Pick me, pick me, pick me. I wanted as much exposure and experience as possible because one day I was going to be a Broadway star. And I got all the roles that I wanted as part of this ensemble for Stuart Little, okay? And one of those roles was being a dog. And it was no lines. All you had to do was just bark obnoxiously and just run around the stage for about 30 seconds. But again, there are no smallpox. So this dog role actually came in 2 parts. There was the first time and the second time. but for some reason they were two separate dogs. So I was given a separate color of ears. Again, so first night we have our opening night, and it goes off without a hitch. And I am just on cloud nine. I'm like, this is it. This is my calling. I'm gonna crush this night too. And I'm waiting for my cue backstage, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And then I have my other 15 roles, so I'm also running around like a Looney Tune character, but I'm waiting for this one dog scene, my one colored ears. And before I know it, I hear my cue, I run out, I start barking like a maniac, running around, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I must be doing a very convincing job of being a dog because everyone on stage is looking at me like a crazy, mad dog. I finally end it, I walk off stage, and the entire cast is just staring at me. And I mean, they're staring at me with daggers. And the show wraps up, no one's speaking to me, and I have no clue why. Maybe they're just so stunned at how well I was doing. Maybe they're jealous, I don't know. And my dad comes up and he says, good job. You did really well. I think last night was a little bit better. Hey, by the way, why was last night's show like 45 minutes longer? Yeah, I went out on the wrong cue with the wrong character, and I single-handedly ruined my school's 8th grade production of Stuart Little. And therefore, I can't always be what you want to be. And here I stand before you as not a Broadway actress.
Makes me think of something that happened recently. Ooh, Lordy me. Had a show recently. Maybe disillusioned a little bit with my partner. My partner can't hear as well as she should. So she was waiting in the wings for her cue to come in. And someone sets the stage for us when we do our performances. And the lady had said, let's all take a deep breath because I get a little nervous when I have to speak in front of others. And I know you guys may be a little nervous too. All of a sudden I hear, goodbye, see you later. And she's coming in and the lady hasn't even introduced us. She hasn't told the audience what we're getting ready to perform, who we are, or what's happening. I was a bit livid because I'm on stage. And I tried to stop her, but again, she's not hearing as well as she should. And I said, not yet, dear. She still came on out. So yes, I can definitely relate to that, Sam. Well, we don't have any more names in that basket. So we're going to give, oh, we got another name? Uh-oh, Jack. Laundry basket. Is it on top? Wait a minute. Did I call to somebody? You did? Okay, let's see here. No. Oh, there's no split. No split. Come on, girl. Come on, child. I want to make another story.
Okay, so it's hard to compete with the birthday. So this is perhaps a little, the tone of this is maybe a little different than what you've heard so far this evening. But there were two major disillusionments that I experienced growing up. But the good thing is that they led to something good. So the first, I remember one of my very best memories as a child was when my parents would take us to the beach. It was like an all-day affair. We'd go to the beach, and after the beach, we'd go to the drive-in movies. And then we'd drive home at night. And this was way before seatbelts. So my sister and I would sleep in the back, watch the movie, following us all the way home. And then I would always pretend to be asleep, even when I was awake, so I could have the experience of my dad carrying me up the stairs and tucking me into bed. It was one of my very best memories. However, I experienced it didn't last. So that, for me, that was like, just the best experience of security that you could imagine. A couple years later, my parents divorced. So it was a very deep disillusionment in terms of, families don't stay together. I thought they did, but they don't all stay together. Fast forward, I was a product of the 70s and I was a hippie. I know it's hard to tell right now, but I was a bona fide hippie. No bra, granny glasses. Okay. And for a certain period of time, I was living in a teepee, a real one, like a real teepee, okay, 18-footer. It was really pretty cool. And there was a part of me, as there were a lot of young people at that time, who were looking for the ideal, looking for something better. And I was really looking for the answer to healthy relationships because I didn't see it growing up, and I was looking for something more, something better. So I thought, yeah, I'll live in a teepee. Maybe that would be it. We'll live in a teepee will be so cool, And it was interesting because we basically fought every morning to see who would get up and stoke the fire because nobody wanted to get out of their sleeping bags. So we really didn't have it down. And after we were out there in our teepee for several months, a couple came along who had their own teepee. And I thought that they were the coolest couple I'd ever seen. Okay, so they were the ideal hippie couples. I can't even really tell you how they looked, but you can imagine they were perfect. And not only that, but they had a child. And I thought, okay, this is the model right here. The cool couple who have it, they understand love and they understand parenting. This is amazing. And they put their TV up next to ours. And then at the evening, they invited our gang over to their TV to, hang out. So we're over at their TV around the fire with their kid. Their daughter was about, I think, 7 or 8 years old. And so then, I hope no one here is going to be shocked by this, but then they took out their magic mushrooms, which was pretty common in those days. And I was, I was a hippie, but I had my limits, and I didn't want to. I don't like losing reality. So I said no. But here's what happened. They gave magic mushrooms to their daughter. Yeah. So that was the second major disillusion for me. I thought, okay, if this perfect hippie couple doesn't have it together, there may not be any hope for me. So fast forward again, and I got married, and I had kids of my own, and I realized how freaking hard it was to be a good parent, and how freaking hard it was to build a good marriage. But eventually, I became a relationship coach. And all I do is help people learn skills to help them build their stronger marriages and stronger families. I do not have it down, but I do have more hope that we can learn how to build good, strong, happy families.
I need to know your name, darling. Tell me your name. My hippie, what's your name? What's your name, baby? Debbie. Debbie, I remember you, Debbie. I remember. Yes, I remember you, Debbie. Debbie, so that the judges can know. Yes, that's why. While the judges tally, I'll do an impromptu story. My father would let me go out only with my first cousin, who was a year older than me, because he was a big dude, played football for Christmas Addicts. And if I was going with Rocky, I could go anywhere. It didn't matter. I was going with Rocky. Well, look, I found out that if Rodney got a date, I was gonna get stood up. And that happened. And at first I thought, okay, maybe he forgot. There was no cell phones or anything back then, so thinking myself. But Okay, and then it happened some more, and then it happened and some more, and I said, oh, shoot. He's not gonna pick me up because he's getting with some girl. And so that was a big disillusion for me. Because he was gonna choose the girl over me, the cousin, anytime. That's my impossible story. Okay, the judges should be, you have a story? Come on, child. Oh, I'm so happy.
Freetown Village, guys.
I know you can hear my voice without the microphone. I have no trouble shouting over those people. But tell them your name.
Thank you. I'm Stanley. And as I'm sitting down here, I'm getting inspired by all the stories I'm hearing. And my job tonight is to be the timekeeper. But everyone is doing so well, I don't need to keep time anymore. And so I figured I'll tell you a story about disillusions that I've experienced. So let's see. For as long as I can remember, I loved football. Well, you call it soccer, but the rest of the world calls it football. And I grew up playing football. I grew up in Haiti, and we played football in the streets. We played football when it rained, as far back as I can remember. That's all we did. And so when I moved to the US to go to college, I lived in Brooklyn for many years. And every Saturday I would go to Prospect Park and play football. And then I moved to Canada. Every chance I got, I played football. And last year I moved to Minneapolis. And I got busy with life and I couldn't really find a team to play. But every night when I go home, I catch the highlights. You know, I watch the Premier League, I watch the Spanish League, I watch the German League, I watch the Nations League. And so as much as I can, I watch football on TV. And then at work, I was talking to my staff and we were planning a play, putting a play together, when the set designer joined us. And as we were talking about the play, he said, well, I play soccer. I said, well, I've been looking for somebody to play with. Would you give me the information? So he shared the information with me, and I couldn't wait to get on the pitch, on the football pitch to play. Because I've been watching all these championships on TV, and you know how it is when you watch sports on TV. It's easy to point the finger and criticize, and you always think you can do better. And I've got all these plays in my mind, and I'm like, I'm gonna get on this pitch, and I'm gonna blow everyone away with my skills. And I get on the field that particular Sunday, and it's just not turning out the way I imagined. It's as if my body was not aligned with my head. And in my mind, things are happening a different way than it's happening on the pitch. And it was going on and on for 15, 30, 45 minutes. And I'm not able to pass the ball. I'm not able to run after the ball. And I'm like, what's going on? And then after the game, I get home and I have such terrible back pain that I have to see a chiropractor. And so this has been the biggest disillusions of my life.
That's too funny. That's too funny. And I'm so glad that I started watching Ted Lasso, because I know what pitch is. Now they call that's the field. You call the cleats boots. Oh my goodness, I learned so much, and then you tell the story. It's so wonderful. Oh my God. Okay, are the judges ready? And I go, oh, yes, we're going to pass out these. Oh, you did. She already did. Samantha is on the ball, y'all. She is no joke. Mother of two, wife of one. She is on the ball. Okay. So what's my next move? Waiting for the judges? do the drawing? Call out the winners first, she said, and then Sam does this part, or you do it. Sam can do it. Yes, she's good. Don't have the boys calling you a bone man, girl. I'm not gonna get over that, G. I'm not gonna get over that bone man. I can't believe you carried on the tradition. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Before I call. Okay.
Tracy, go over here, please.
Huh?
Go over here a little more.
Okay. Sam, come by me. Okay, so, okay, before I call out the winners, how does Celestine stand-in do? Thank you, I was very nervous. I didn't even finish my drink because I didn't want to be toppling over. Okay. And I think we do it backwards. Okay, in third place, we have Stanley. In second place, we have Noel. And in first place, we have Jen. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you guys for your support. I love Story Slam. I look forward to it. Whenever I leave here, I start thinking about my story for the next month and hope that I can come up with one, and then I work it out in my head. I really appreciate you guys coming and being supportive of Storytelling Arts of Indiana. It's a pleasure.